Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall with Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. My name is Robin, and I'll be moderating this evening's event. This is a live interactive forum, and we'd love to hear from you this evening. During tonight's call, we'll be taking as many questions as we possibly can from constituents like you. If you'd like to ask a question this evening, please press *3 on your telephone keypad now or at any time during the call. You may also sign up for the Congresswoman's e-newsletter by pressing *6 on your telephone keypad. And if you're streaming this event tonight, simply type your name and question below the streaming player. Again, that's *3 at any time during the call to ask a question. You'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff, and that staff member will take down your name and question. The next time you hear your name, it will be me inviting you to ask your question directly to Congresswoman Dean. And remember, you can press *6 on your keypad to subscribe to her newsletter, and you may also sign up for her newsletter online at dean.house.gov. And now, without further delay, I'd like to turn the call over to Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. Congresswoman, you are live, and the floor is yours, ma'am.
Good evening, Robin. Thank you for helping us out and hosting our town hall conversation. I'm really delighted to have the chance to speak to my constituents about all that is going on here in Washington and back in the district. So Robin, if you don't mind, I'm going to go through a few prepared remarks based on the time we are in. So we'll spend a couple minutes with prepared remarks, and then I know we're going to have a conversation with my constituents, and I really look forward to that. Does that work for you, Robin?
Perfect. Take it away, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So thank you for your kind introduction. Good evening, everyone tuning in tonight. And I promise this conversation will be over before the Phils redeem themselves tonight in Game 3. I have a confidence about that. I'm Madeleine Dean. I'm Congresswoman for the 4th Congressional District of Pennsylvania, which is most of Montgomery and Berks counties. First, let me start with something that is on all of our minds. Yesterday marked the 2-year anniversary of the terrible attack on Israel by Hamas, killing more than 1,200 people, 1,200 Israelis, taking of 250 hostages, including Americans. I think many of you may be seeing the breaking news, which is wonderful news to me. I hope it proves to be true. My team just handed me a copy of a tweet from President Trump's Truth Social post. And he said he is proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of the peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line. These are the first steps of this 20-point peace plan that I have been fighting for, been in favor of for a very long time. We want to bring an end to the suffering both in Israel and in Palestine. It has been grievous 2 years of suffering, and I am pleased to hear that Hamas has come to the table. Much more importantly to me at this point is these hostages get home. I've had the chance to meet with many of them. So forgive me that departure from my opening remarks, but I think it's timely, and along with all of you, I pray for peace. I will tell you, I've heard from so many of you since that brutal attack. And so I'm glad that the talks in Egypt, regional talks in Egypt, are proving to be fruitful. For matters back home, let me shift. I'm joining you from my office in Washington because Speaker Mike Johnson unfortunately canceled session last week as we were approaching a government shutdown date, and canceled session again this week. It's a little baffling to me. We are not doing our job we can't do our job if we're not here able to vote on legislation that would solve the problem. It is our duty, our legislative duty, to fund the government. Congress's power of the purse, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7. It is our duty. And so I'll begin with, I'll take this talk into 3 parts. First, I'll explain how I think we got here. Second, I'll tell you what's going on right now, the direct impacts that we are feeling and seeing on behalf of our constituents. And third, what you and I together can do moving forward to get out of these not normal times. First, how did we get here? To be clear, you know it, Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. It's a trifecta, and they are failing to govern. It is their duty to craft a budget. I'm a new appropriator. I was there trying to help. Our budgets are due September the 30th, and that supports our nation's economic health, our physical health and well-being, as well as our civic health. Democrats have stood all year long ready to do just that. And as I said, I'm newly on appropriations. We worked hard to try to craft the 12 bills that make up a budget. But you saw what happened this year. This year, we spent continuing resolution after continuing resolution. And all that means is we put together temporary budgets. I have argued for the full year that that is no way to run a government. You wouldn't run your family budget that way, and you wouldn't run your businesses that way. Unfortunately, we were not able to put together bipartisan legislation. It's a real deflection from the norm. And I believe that budgets are moral documents. They reflect our values. So I want you to know I voted no on the temporary funding bill that the Republicans put forward because I didn't see it as a continuing resolution. I saw it as continuing harm. It does not reflect my values or the values of my constituents as it tears away healthcare, food, nutrition, and other resources from constituents all across the country. Their bill did nothing. Their temporary funding bill did nothing to address the big ugly bill's devastating cuts to healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, the Affordable Care Act, that are already harming families in my district. It does nothing to restore funding for research, CDC, NIH, research around Alzheimer's, pediatric cancer, HIV/AIDS, and so much more. Nothing to bolster our economic health, lower the cost of everyday goods, to help businesses plan with certainty. Thanks to the president's disastrous tariff plan, tariffs on, tariffs off, punishing tariffs on allies, our economy is approaching a crisis, with the job market lagging and rising inflation. That is not the direction any of us wants to take this country. And the Republicans' bill did nothing to make health care more affordable. Millions of Americans will see their health care costs, their premiums, many of them more than double at the end of this year, 12/31, if Congress does not act. There's not a moment to waste. That's why I'm here saying I'm always ready to work to solve the problem. I won't be complicit and give my vote over for a budget that only does more harm, that serves a president's cruel purposes and does nothing for our nation's greater good. I'm heartened to see the unity among Democrats here, and I really want to report that to you. In both the House and the Senate, we're fighting for a budget that prioritizes Americans' health and cost of living, a budget that will literally save lives. So I call upon my Republican colleagues to come back to Washington. I had that very conversation with the Speaker of the House just last week. Work with us. Let's do the right thing and get this done for the American people. Second, the shutdown impacts. Here are just some of the impacts that we are noticing as a result of our trying to help constituents. Since the government shut down 8 days ago, my office has heard from many of you. You're fearful, you're confused about what this means for you and your families and your businesses. I'll do my best to offer you some clarity, though I can't offer full clarity. But I'd also encourage you to visit my website, dean.house.gov. We are constantly updating it as we learn new information on what federal agencies are and are not able to do, and the impacts of what those changes are and shutdowns are. There's been so much talk in the news. I want to remember one thing. A government shutdown hurts real people. I've been speaking to people already across this government. Yesterday, an air traffic controller. Real people are doing really important work to keep us safe, to keep our families safe, and yet real people are being hurt. Thanks to this dysfunction, the federal agencies are operating with significant reductions in their staff. For example, the VA has stopped congressional inquiries. We take real pleasure in serving a veteran who comes before us and has a question about his or her benefits. We have been told that they will not take any new inquiries during the shutdown, and we were actually advised to call the White House to try to serve veterans. That's no way to run the Veterans Administration. The IRS has furloughed taxpayer advocates. Social Security's phones wait times are skyrocketing. Some employees who perform life-saving services, like those air traffic controllers, they assure us, and I am confident, they will keep us safe. Our military will continue to keep us safe, but they are now reporting to work without pay. I find that absolutely shameful. They're also working without the aid of critical support staff, like administrators who update their systems. The Republican shutdown is shameful, and yet I am sad to say they don't seem to care. They don't care about the fate of federal workers. More than 60,000 Pennsylvanians are federal workers, proud to serve our country, not political hacks, public service workers. And their livelihoods are being jeopardized by the Republican majority. It's all in service of something that I think is absurd. Tax breaks to the wealthiest among us, while hiking up healthcare premiums for the rest of us. And at the end of that, blowing up the deficit. So where do we go from here? Now the focus is on reopening the government, meaning Congress cannot focus on lowering costs or improving your physical, mental health and well-being, or the civic health of our nation, which is something I care very much about. Many of you have reached out to me and you say, Mad, keep up the fight, get this government open, get services working for all of us. And many of you have said to me, what can I do? What can I do to stop the madness, these unabnormal times? I know you've heard me talk about this before, but we are fighting on all fronts. So we are in the courts, and many of the courts are responding to the unconstitutional things that are going on with this administration. But I know that it's also on Congress. That's why I'm here and back in the district to make sure I tell the story of the impacts of the shutdown on you. But I will tell you that it is very helpful to have all of you. It's going to take all of us, citizens, calling out the unjust things that are happening as a result of this government shutdown. So continue to do what I know you're already doing. Many of you call me, email me. Continue to do that. I value your input, whether you're agreeing with me or not. We take it all in, but call others who are not voting or showing up to do their job. I hope you will call them as well, because public opinion matters. Look what happened with Jimmy Kimmel, because so many people spoke up. They were worried, terrified against this attack on free speech and the First Amendment, and making us laugh, giving us the chance to laugh when times are challenging. Guess what happened? Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air, making us laugh, trying to help us understand these days through humor. So secondly, please make sure you're getting the truth. That's one of the things I spoke to Speaker Johnson about. We have an obligation to speak the truth to citizens. And when we don't, we are failing at our job. And that is one thing that is happening here. There's an awful lot of lies and misrepresentation going on. Don't be afraid to call this stuff out. And I have a feeling the people on this line are not afraid to do that. So let me turn it over to say that really now is my chance to learn from you. What are you feeling? What are you hearing? How is any of this, whether it's the shutdown or the bills before or the anticipated bills to come, how are these things affecting you and your family, your businesses, your cost of living, your daily life? Because what I hope we get to is a time where we restore our own feeling of well-being and we don't feel so anxious about our futures and the future of our children. So Robin, I'm tossing it back to you to get this conversation going.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And before we take our first caller live, I just want to remind folks, if you happen to have joined the call late, if you'd like to ask a question this evening, it's *3 on your telephone keypad. Okay, we've got Christy from Schwenksville. Christy, you're live on the call with Congresswoman Dean. Please go ahead, Christy.
Hello, Congresswoman. I am traveling next week to a family wedding, and I'm very concerned about the government shutdown and how it's impacting air travel. So do you have any idea of where we're going with this? And if you have any suggestions of what people like me that are concerned with air traffic controllers that are probably being overworked and are tired, the safety issue there, and what we can do in this situation.
Well, Christy, I hope you have a great trip and a really happy wedding. I can tell you, I have had the chance to speak to many air traffic controllers. I spoke to many of them 6 years ago when we had the government shutdown under the first Trump administration, when I was first sworn in. They are consummate professionals. And I spoke to one just yesterday from a local airport, an air traffic controller who is so proud of the work that he and his colleagues do. And if he said it once, he said it multiple times in our conversation. They are keeping the air safe. I really believe you can have a confidence that the air traffic controllers will keep the air safe. What I do think will happen is a slowdown. They will have to space planes apart. TSA workers, if they don't all show up, if more and more turn toward calling in sick, if we have a reduction in staff and in workers, whether it's on the ground or up in the towers, they will modify the schedules to make sure everyone remains safe. So I'm sorry you have that anxiety. I think a lot of travelers do, but I can give you an absolute confidence they'll keep you safe, but it will not be as convenient as it could be. And I will say the pressure on the air traffic controllers, on the TSA personnel, is very great. And so I keep them in my thoughts tonight. Have a good trip.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Next caller is Kenneth from Abington. Kenneth, you're live on the call with Congresswoman Dean. Please go ahead, Kenneth.
Hi, Congressman Dean. Thank you so much for taking my question. I work at the University of Pennsylvania in the office of the Vice Provost for Research, and we have seen the horrible effects of the federal funding cuts and now the proposed education compact from the Trump administration. I was wondering what you can do to assist offices like mine across universities in Pennsylvania that are feeling this pressure.
Kenneth, I'm glad to talk to you and thank you for your work. I was recently, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, down at Penn, met with the president and met with some terrific researchers and clinicians there. And of course, understanding what is going on as a result of the Trump administration cuts to research and also just to education, the attack on education itself. What I can do is what I am already doing and will continue to do. Please share with me the impacts it's having directly on you, on your office, on the provost. I'm a former educator. I taught for 10 years at LaSalle University. And so I know that resources are needed to make sure folks are educated. But I will be very clear-eyed with you. This administration wants to shutter much of important research going on. And you know the impacts at Penn, that we are going to see fewer and fewer foreign students brought in to bring in that talent. We're going to see fewer of our own students coming to Penn as a result of these cuts. The administration, as you know, as I said, I'm a former educator, literally wants to shutter the Federal Department of Education. That is in Project 2025. It's page 319, the first sentence on education. The ambition of this administration is to shutter it. And so what they are doing by reducing resources is to make it less effective, and therefore they make the argument that they can shut it down. To me, it's rather Orwellian. Your question, though, was about me. What am I doing? I am calling it out. I'm going to campuses. I'm going to K through 12 schools and talking with administrators and students there. We have to keep calling it out so that Americans recognize that this is an administration really determined to try to harm education. As I said, it's rather Orwellian, but please keep up the extraordinary good work you're doing at Penn.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Next question, a caller is Barbara from Norristown. Barbara, you're live on the call with the Congresswoman. Please go ahead, Barbara. You're live on the call.
Hi, Mrs. Dean. Thank you very much for having this town hall. You took some of the words out of my mouth with your remarks at the beginning of your prepared remarks with regard to Israel and the Palestinians. But I'm very curious about your thoughts on what it's going to take to hope to God this is an actual ceasefire that turns into the return of the hostages and pulls the Israeli troops back. But my area of curiosity is what it's going to take to turn a ceasefire into a lasting peace. And I know that's a toughie, but I'm really, really interested in your insights on the matter.
Well, thank you, Barbara. I care about it just like you do. As I said, I serve on foreign affairs, so I've had the chance to travel to Israel multiple times. One of the second or third time, I guess it was 5 weeks after the Hamas attack. It was November 11th and 12th of 2023. And we had the chance to visit with Mr. Netanyahu, his then defense minister, and others. And so we understood that with that grievous attack, Israel had a right and a responsibility to hold Hamas accountable. And much, just as important, to get the hostages home. We're in a very different world now. It's 2 years later. We still have at least 48, I believe, hostages living and deceased, unaccounted for, not yet returned home. We have more than 65,000 Palestinians dead. And I'm not talking about warriors, I'm talking about innocent citizens. We have so much of Gaza destroyed. We have famine there. Families are going hungry. Foreign correspondents are not allowed in. It is a very grievous time. It's time for the suffering to end, the hostages to come home. And I have been fighting all along for robust humanitarian aid so that no one is hungry, so that no one goes without medicine, as they have been now. Your question is, how do we get to a lasting ceasefire? I think we have finally global leadership, and the region has been working on this, and I've met with regional leaders about this. Finally, we have a critical mass of regional leaders. It is no longer just Mr. Netanyahu and Hamas. Fortunately, we have the President of the United States focused on this, his Secretary of State focused on this. They recognize a need to end the suffering. So I hope that this has become sort of a critical mass of pressure on both Hamas and Mr. Netanyahu's coalition to say ceasefire, hostages home, humanitarian aid in, and finally rebuilding of Gaza with a government that is not Israel, that is not Hamas, and that creates a chance for peace and dignity for two peoples. I have to tell you, the amount of suffering that has gone on there. I witnessed the suffering of the attack, visiting the places of the attack, the killing fields, the kibbutz, but now the suffering that has been visited on Gaza is just so grave, too much, unjust. And so I'm hoping it is the pressure of the world to say ceasefire now. Let's do our part. You know, I wear this dog tag every day. I put it on as a prayer to say, let's do our part to tikkun olam, repair the world.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Our next caller is Margie from Glenside. Margie, you're live on the call with Congresswoman Dean. Please go ahead, Margie.
Hello, Representative Dean. Thank you so much for all the work you do for our district. I come from a large Democratic family here in Montgomery County. We get together a lot, and our big concern is it seems that the Democratic message, it appears to me, is not getting out to the Republicans or the Trump supporters. That is the message about what's happening with this shutdown and what's happening because of this so-called beautiful bill. I heard J.D. Vance say shortly after the shutdown how the Democrats want the shutdown so they can provide health care for illegal immigrants. I listened to the New York Times, I listened to the Atlantic and NPR. But where are the Republicans and what are they hearing? That's the thing that concerns me. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Margie from Glenside. I think you know I'm a Glenside girl. I was born and raised there. So nice to talk to you. The very thing you just pointed out, the willingness of the Vice President of the United States to lie on the podium and the platform that he holds on the world stage is so troubling to me. That is a direct lie. I've heard the Speaker of the House use it. I've heard Republican senators say the same thing. Democrats are holding out because A, Republicans are governing and they're failing to govern. And B, the Republicans are trying to rip healthcare away from working Americans. This lie and this ruse and this bigotry that somehow Democrats are trying to make sure illegal immigrants are getting health care is a lie. That's literally one of the things I said to the speaker in a conversation I had last week. I said, you owe the truth to the American people. And when you say things like Democrats just want to get illegals or continue to have illegal immigrants have health care, it's a lie. Let me read to you, because in the ACA and in many statutes, and I want to be really clear, and I saw some good journalists point this out, that the Republicans are lying. Let me give you one section of the ACA that states, if an individual is not a citizen or national of the United States or an alien lawfully present in the United States, such individual shall not be eligible for coverage. That's in the ACA. That's in the law. We're not trying to change that. Actually, what Republicans were trying to do through the big ugly bill and the continuing resolution was to take health care away from lawful citizens.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And folks, again, if you'd like to ask a question this evening, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. And if you would like to subscribe to the Congresswoman's e-newsletter, you can press *6 at any time during the call. Our next question comes from Alan of Bala Kinwood. Alan, you're live on the call with Congresswoman Dean. Please go ahead.
Alex, I'm 8 years old. My mom is a teacher and my dad works for National Park Service. When will my dad get paid again?
What is this beautiful child's name? Can we get that?
Alex.
You may still be on the.
Who are you, honey?
Alex.
Alex? Well, Alex, I'm so happy that you would have gotten on my town hall. Thank you for asking me that question. What a smart question from a smart child. And hello to Bala Kinwood, too. I don't have a good answer for you yet, Alex, but I do want you to know I'm here and I'm fighting to make sure that your mommy and daddy get paid. Teachers and park workers, this is the best of us. I just happened to be in Valley Forge National Park this week, visiting to see what was open and what was shut down. And so many of our national park workers, service members, are furloughed without pay. It's just plain wrong. I also went down to the Constitution Center, not the Constitution Center, Liberty Bell and Independence Hall. People, visitors from all over the world, having to look at the Liberty Bell through thick glass, not able to go in and learn about our history and what makes this country great. So Alex, I am here. I am fighting to make sure your parents do the incredible great work that they do and that they get paid. So let's make sure we get the contact for Alex's parents so that we can stay in touch with them, please. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman. Folks, earlier we mentioned that this is an interactive forum this evening, and we'd love to hear from you. So we have a poll question for you this evening. And the question is this, and please vote using the corresponding numbers on your telephone keypad. Democrats are fighting to reopen the government while protecting healthcare. How important is healthcare affordability to you in the government funding negotiations? Press 1 if it's very important, 2 for somewhat important, 3 if it's not important, or 4 if you're not sure. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat the question. Democrats are fighting to reopen the government while protecting health care. How important is health care affordability to you in the government funding negotiations? 1 for very important, press 2 if it's somewhat important, 3 not important, or 4 if you're unsure. Now let's go ahead and take Katie from White Marsh Township. Katie, you're live on the call. Katie, you're live on the call. Please go ahead. Katie, can you hear me?
Robin, I have a transcript of what Katie might have asked. Is that possible? Could I read that?
Absolutely.
Katie, and if you speak up if you do hear us, but the transcript I'm seeing of the question, Katie from White Marsh is the wife of a combat vet not receiving services, is concerned about public school services and protecting children from gun violence. Katie, I share all of those concerns with you. As I told you, as a result of this shutdown, my district director said as he was trying to open a case file of constituent services for a vet, he was alerted by the VA, run by Secretary Collins, who, as we began this administration, said he was hoping to cut as many as 80,000 people from the VA staff. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of veterans who are entitled to and in need of services. So we have gotten the word that they're not taking inquiries at the VA for service members, and that we can just call the White House to see what we can get done. You can imagine how helpful that has been. So I'll keep fighting. I think it is literally shameful that is happening. To your other point about gun violence and protecting education, I think was another one of them. With gun violence, I have been working on the issue of gun violence for as long as I can remember, my entire adult life. And I am sad to tell you that with the Republican governing majority in the House and the Senate and in the White House, they have no interest in protecting our children from gun violence. Bill after bill after bill goes to die in committee. I have a bill called the updating of the Undetectable Firearms Act. It's going nowhere. It would go after ghost guns to get them off our street because they are untraceable and appearing in crimes. Background check, simple bills on background checks, protecting children through safes and safe operation of guns and storage, closing the fire sale loophole. Legislation after legislation that would actually begin to save lives. This administration and this Republican majority is afraid of the gun lobby and is not moving any of it. I beg everybody on here, I don't want to take away anybody's legal right to own a gun, but I do want to take away those who should not own a gun. It's not a right. They're harm to us. We have seen too many school shootings, shootings at synagogues, shootings in churches. My God, after the most recent shooting of first graders on their first day of school in a church, we're not going to do anything about this. It is shameful. And I hope elections turn away the Republicans who are protecting the gun lobby.
Thank you, Congresswoman. We've got Kathleen from Pottstown. Kathleen, you're live on the call with Congresswoman Dean. Please go ahead, Kathleen.
Oh, thank you very much. Congresswoman, I worked in my active employment career in the Women, Infants, and Children's Program, also known as WIC. And I'm sure you know that if there's ever a program that's pro-life, it is the WIC program. I am concerned with this shutdown on the availability of the very, very expensive specialty formulas that WIC provides to premature and medically fragile infants and children. Do you know if there is anything being done to guarantee that at least these children receive their benefits?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer, but I know we have a huge advocate for that here. One of our colleagues had premature twins and learned very quickly the high cost of that powerful, important, life-saving formula. He and his wife have been huge advocates in Kentucky around that. So I will ask him, and we can also, if we can collect Kathleen's contact, we will get that information back to you. But thanks for your work on WIC. In Pennsylvania, 185,000 people rely on WIC. In Montgomery, in my district, Montgomery and Berks counties, 14,000 people rely on WIC. And I love the way you frame it. I think we need you down here on messaging. There's nothing more pro-life than WIC and SNAP and healthcare. So thanks for your work, and we'll get you that answer.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Next caller is Patty from Berks County. Patty, you're live on the call. Please go ahead, Patty.
Hello. Yes. Well, first, I just want to say that I think that you guys are doing the right thing in not voting for that CR. And I know it means the government is shut down, and, we can experience some difficulty because of it. But I have steeled myself, and I'm going to be satisfied with it because I know that you are thinking long term for the benefit of the people's health care. And I think you're doing the right thing. So stick to your guns. Do not vote for that bill that wants to rob us of health insurance. And thank you very much. And then I want to say, too, that I really don't think we should have our American tax dollars paying for Donald Trump's lavish ballroom or to make his luxury aircraft from Qatar even better. I think he ought to be satisfied with the beautiful dolls he's already got. But then
I'm with
my
you.
question...
Go right ahead.
Right. It seems like nobody's really talking about Ukraine for a couple of weeks now because of Israel and Hamas. And I know that's a very terrible thing. But Ukraine has been being murdered and children, kidnapped by Putin for a whole lot longer. And
Yes.
I want to know, when the heck is Donald Trump going to tell Putin, I'm not going to tolerate you kidnapping children and killing those people any longer? You know what I mean?
Yes. I want to say to you, Patty, first of all, thank you. Thank you for seeing clearly what's at stake here with the government shutdown. It is literally standing up for people's health care, their access to it, their ability to afford it. Many people will see their premiums double. These are people paying for health care. This is not a giveaway, but they will see their premiums double, triple, so they'll be priced out of it. So thank you for getting that. I'm going to tell my colleagues, I'm going to quote you directly to say that my constituents understand what's at stake. In terms of Ukraine, one of the things that is so dismaying about these last 9 months or so under this administration is the chaos and the confusion and the incompetence and the constant taking a look at what is the next crazy thing that has happened. And it takes our focus away from places like Ukraine. But I want to admit to you, I'm on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and we here in Congress, Democrats and Republicans, some Republicans, absolutely know that we have to be peacemakers there as well. So my hope is that Mr. Trump will focus and will talk much tougher to Mr. Putin. But you've seen the flailing, and it's very discouraging to me. The disrespect to President Zelensky in the White House back on February the 28th, then the rolling out of the red carpet to Mr. Putin on American soil, then finally a conversation with European leaders and Mr. Zelensky here. I hope that the president's team, diplomatic team, will regain their focus on Ukraine. One of the most grievous things is what you mentioned. More than 20,000 children stolen away from their homes and their homeland, indoctrinated in Russia. And to your point, this is going on, it's 3.5 years now. We can't understand the suffering. I was last night at the UN ambassador's home, where she was having an event for the new ambassador of Ukraine to the United States. And so I will tell you, people are focused on Ukraine. On foreign affairs, I am focused on making sure they get the weapons that they need to continue their fight. Because, Patty, what we see in Ukraine and in Ukrainians is something we admire in us and in our founding, a standing up for democracy, for freedom and justice, and to hold the other side accountable. So we haven't given up, and I am very upset for the lack of focus on that because of the chaos here.
Thank you, Congresswoman. We have a question from Jacqueline of Kutztown, and this was submitted online, ma'am. And Jacqueline asks, how can citizens confront the anti-bipartisanship in Congress?
I think that's, let me say, we are in a time of great polarization, but some things have actually gotten accomplished in a bipartisan way, and it gets lost in the noise of all of the other chaos. Let me give you something that I'm very happy was able to get done in a bipartisan way. Republicans and Democrats in the Senate and Republicans and Democrats here in the House, and this was my bill, a bill that I have introduced over the course of several Congresses. We got passed a bill called Take It Down, and this was signed into law by President Trump. He took an interest in it because Mrs. Trump, Melania Trump, was fighting for this bill. It is a bill to protect young people, or anyone really, from the improper use of their likeness in a non-consensual sexual image, whether it's AI generated or a photograph, but posted up on social media platforms. And so this bill requires that social media platforms take those down immediately. I'm very proud that in a bipartisan way we were able to get to do that. But we ought to be doing bipartisan things all the time, and we are not. So how do we change that? We vote for people who are interested in doing moderate, bipartisan, positive, progressive things. Elections matter. We're about to face an election this fall. Then we will face an election in 2026, when in Pennsylvania we'll have the excitement to I hope, reelect our governor, Josh Shapiro. But we'll also have a chance to decide whether or not the people in Congress are working in the best interest of the American people, the people of Pennsylvania. And I hope voters are paying attention, and they will cast their vote for people who want to work in a bipartisan way for the right things, not the noisy ones who are on the far right or on the far left. But right now, we are struggling with the majority party's far right wing.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And folks, we had such a great response to our first poll question. We have a second for you this evening. The question is, peace talks between Israel and Hamas are taking place this week in Egypt. We'd like to know, do you support President Trump's peace plan for the future of Israel and Palestine? Please press 1 for yes, 2 for somewhat, 3 for no, and 4 if you're not sure. And I'll repeat that question for you. Peace talks between Israel and Hamas are taking place this week in Egypt. Do you support President Trump's peace plan for the future of Israel and Palestine? Please press 1 if yes, 2 somewhat, 3 no, and 4 if you're uncertain. Let's go ahead. We've got Ann from Abington. Ann, you're live on the call with Congresswoman Dean. Please go ahead, Ann.
Hi. Actually, my name's Anne Marie. I'm also a Glenside girl. And my
Anne Marie.
question is, how you doing? My question is, I wanted to know if you were going to speak out publicly about Stephen Miller's comments on CNN the other day regarding Donald Trump having plenary authority with the National Guard. I thought, obviously, he did not mean to say it, but it's obviously in the plan. And I think it's very scary. And I'm wondering why all of our state and representatives and congressmen and senators aren't shouting it from the rooftops.
Thank you, Anne Marie from Glenside. I am gravely worried about the role that Stephen Miller is playing. We knew he was playing a serious role in the shadows in the first Trump administration. But in the meantime, as we came into a second Trump administration and the crafting of Project 2025, Stephen Miller has been right out front, right out on the White House lawn, saying all kinds of things that support what I think he is crafting and driving in this president's agenda, which is authoritarianism, this idea that you put all power within the president, the sending of troops, National Guard, to our cities, to Chicago, to Portland. Stephen Miller is very behind all of that. He speaks about that. They are completely unwanted and unnecessary and illegal, really. The president does not have that authority when they are not called for by the governors and the local elected officials. It's very worrisome. You're absolutely right. This is, let me layer into that what the president said in front of that meeting of generals and admirals and military leaders. A staggering, strange staging of Mr. Hegseth, Secretary of Defense Hegseth, calling from around the globe for military leaders to leave their posts to come in and be lectured by him in such a disgraceful way. But then, sadly, for Mr. Trump, for President Trump to speak to the generals, to say that maybe we should use American cities as military training grounds. You all know, and you don't even have to be in the military to know that that is not within what our military is supposed to do, which is to keep us safe. They are warriors. They are trained warriors. They're not supposed to be law enforcement on our city streets. So, Anne Marie, I am gravely worried about that. That's something else I mentioned in my conversation with the speaker. I asked him, I said, Mr. Speaker, did you see the president's behavior and speech before the generals? And the speaker actually said, no, I didn't see it, which is very puzzling to me. If you're Speaker of the House and you know the president has summoned in 800 military leaders, you might want to tune in to see what he had to say. So that didn't really cut it with me. But then I said, do you understand that the president revealed in that set of remarks that he was unhinged and unwell? And the speaker did not deny that and said to me, well, you have people like that on your side too. So I am speaking it directly to folks in power here, my colleagues here. As you're saying that, I agree with you. We all need to be calling it out from the rooftops to say this is not where we want to go. In my office, we have pocket constitutions, and I can't keep them on the shelf because people are interested in, wait a second, what is Congress's constitutional authority? Article 1, I encourage everybody to reread it. Take a look at what the president's constitutional authority, far briefer, Article 2. His job is to make sure the laws are faithfully executed and that he is supposed to abide by the Constitution of the United States. he's not living up to his constitutional oath.
Thank you, Congresswoman. We are creeping up on the top of the hour. We have time for one last call. We got William from Norristown on the call. William, you're live on the call with Congresswoman Dean. Please go ahead, William.
Congress Lady Dean, this is William. My question is,
Hi, William.
hi, are we losing our democracy? And how do we fight to maintain it? And what is fight going to require? And finally, what can be done to influence voting Republicans to fight for our democracy when the majority Republican Congress refuses to?
Well, William, that is probably the central question, and it's maybe the right one to end on tonight. I am a big believer that this is on all of us, and I am gravely worried about our democracy. What we have seen in the course of these 9 months of this administration is a rapid grab of power by the president to himself, to the executive, to himself. We haven't even talked about this, but the corruption going on before our very eyes, that the president is actually profiting in plain sight from his office. Could you imagine if I sat here in this office and was profiting, was pocketing millions of dollars in crypto or investments from other folks, taking free airplanes, those kinds of things? We are in a grave place. But I am not without hope. This country has been in difficult places before. One of the things that I said to the speaker was I am concerned about our country going forward. I was a young girl, a little girl at the time of Richard Nixon. And you know what happened ultimately in the end? Republican colleagues came around Mr. Nixon, met with him, and said it is time to resign. I don't know what it's going to take for Republicans to say, wait, this is going way too far. I am worried about our constitutional fundamental principles that were so wisely written, imperfect, but wisely written as our foundation. And I am with hope, because whether it was a civil war or civil rights, this country got together. Peaceful protest works, but it's time consuming and it is citizen consuming. But I think it's on every one of us to peacefully speak out, to protest against the direction that this administration is taking us. I am confident through free and fair elections, we will get to a better day. We will protect this democracy, and then we will strengthen it to make a more perfect union under a different set of administrations. But I thank you, William, for your question, and thanks for worrying about it. Help me work with me that we can all do this together.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And before we wrap up the call this evening, ma'am, would you like to share any final thoughts?
No, I guess I'm just super thankful for anybody who would take the time to get on this call and continue to please reach out to me. And I hope you'll join me in making sure we continue to speak out about the things that you care about. I'm so glad that you cared about Israel and Ukraine and a government shutdown and our teachers and our air traffic controllers and all the rest. Know that I'm here. I'm a mom and a grandmom, and I care about your kids, your grandkids, and their future. That's what I'm fighting for. But mostly, I'm super thankful for the privilege of representing you. Please stay in touch.
Thanks again, everyone, for joining tonight's telephone town hall with Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. If you'd like to stay up to date with the Congresswoman's work, please follow her on social media at Rep. Madeleine Dean on Facebook and Instagram, and at Rep. Dean on X and Blue Sky. Finally, if you'd like to sign up for the Congresswoman's email newsletter, simply stay on the line after the call concludes and leave your name and email address after the tone. Thanks, and have a great rest of your evening. Good night.
Thanks.